I suppose, depending on the part of the country that you're joining from. My name is Constance Harrington. I'm the Education and Accreditation Manager with Shift. And we are very proud to bring you yet another continuing education opportunity. In today's topic talk, our speaker will be introducing you to BridgingApps, and that's a program of Easter Seals in Greater Houston. BridgingApps provides technology assistance and education through in-person and virtual services, as well as an app search database, and that database has right around 2,700 apps. Now, many of those apps have been reviewed by professionals who work with people who have disabilities, caregivers, and often people with disabilities themselves to help caregivers find easy apps to address their loved ones' needs. So now, if you have any questions for our speaker today, please go ahead and submit them in the Q&A field, and I'll be asking those of Amy on your behalf as we go through today's session. Now, I would like to take just a moment to introduce our subject matter expert, Amy Fuchs. Now, Amy is the program manager for BridgingApps, and while she has a very impressive bio that I could read to you, I know that you're going to be even more impressed by her as a person. Amy's just a wonderful speaker, a great advocate for people with disabilities, and just an overall kind person. And I'm so very proud to welcome her today. And now I know she's got a ton of content to share, so I'm just going to go ahead and turn things directly over to her.
Okay, thanks so much, Constance. You are too kind. I do love sharing information. I love what I do at BridgingApps. So as Constance said, my name is Amy Fuchs. I was a former special education teacher for about 13 years. I actually went into college thinking I was going to be a psychologist or something like that. And I accidentally found out that I really loved teaching, and it came very natural to me. So I kind of got immersed in the disability world through my professor when I was in graduate school, and I just love it. It is part of me. I do love advocating for people. So I hope that you enjoy what I'm going to share today. I'm going to go ahead and start my screen share so you can get an idea here what we're going to be talking about. Okay. Oops. Sorry, wrong page. Okay, so we're going to start here at our main homepage, bridgingapps.org. I'm happy to let you follow along with me if you want. We're going to be kind of learning how to navigate the site and learning how to find apps on your own to help yourself or others, whoever you may be working with or caring for. Just to give you a little background on BridgingApps, we are one of the 12 programs of Easter Seals Greater Houston. You can imagine the size of the area that we serve here in Greater Houston. I am from Alabama, and if you haven't figured it out yet, you will hear it in my accent eventually. But I joke with people that to drive from one side of the Houston area to the other, it's about like driving across the state of Alabama. It is a huge area. We serve a lot of people and a lot of different kinds of people. So we have just a great experience with people of all disabilities and all abilities. So what BridgingApps does is we focus on assistive technology. We are a TTAP location, which is our state AT program. Every state has one. If you don't know about the one that you are in the state you're in, I can help you find that information. It is part of a federal program. So what we do is we house, in Texas, we have 18 sites, and we house some of that big, expensive assistive technology equipment you know, that some people just need, where they can't use mobile devices, and that works better for them. But in the last 10 years or so, since BridgingApps has been in existence, we have really focused a lot of our attention on the mobile technology. So BridgingApps came out of a support group of parents with children with disabilities. One of the co-founders is my director. Her name is Kristen Reet. And she has a child with multiple disabilities. Well, he's 19 now. He's not a child anymore. But they figured out through this support group that when the iPads came out, their children were able to do so much with this touchscreen technology that they couldn't do with a traditional mouse. So her son, had trouble using a computer. There's a lot of hand-eye coordination. There's fine motor skills involved, gross motor skills involved, and it just didn't work for him. But when he got a hold of an iPad, he was able to navigate some of the games and things on there. And they started seeing that some of these games that were created for fun were actually helping their children with other skills, maybe with social skills, turn taking, all of those kind of things. And so they started compiling a list of apps and what was really beneficial. And out of that grew this great database. It used to be called Snaps for Kids, and now it is BridgingApps. And it was, we were adopted. We were taken in by Easter Seals of Greater Houston because they saw what great work BridgingApps was doing, and they really loved our mission. So we are bridging the gap between people with disabilities and technology. So our website has a lot happening on it. We have a blog. We post technology and disability related articles 4 to 5 times a week, sometimes more. We have a very active social channels. Our YouTube channel is full of little short, usually 2 to 3 minute how-to videos. So maybe we make a video about how to scan a QR code with your phone, how to adjust the settings on your phone, those kind of things. But what we're going to focus on today, and of course, all this is free. You're welcome to peruse it whenever you want. What we're going to focus on, though, is the app search. So you can get to it 2 different ways. You can go here with app search and go down to find an app, or you can also go right here to this little button that says app search. Either way, it's going to take you to the database, which is search.bridgingapps.org. I just find it's most easy to come from the homepage. And here you have a regular old search box where you can type in whatever you want to look for. You could search by diagnosis. We find that a lot of parents, when their children are first diagnosed, they use whatever the doctor tells them. So if they say, oh, they have a diagnosis of autism, then that's what they search for. As parents get a little more savvy with the diagnosis and they understand that maybe autism means they're having trouble with some social skills, then they may come and type in social skills. So we have lots of different ways to search. We have a lot of teachers and professionals who also use it. And of course, they search by different things. Teachers usually search by need. And so anyway, you can type whatever you want to in here. I'm going to actually type the name of an app because I want to use a particular one to kind of show you what the app reviews look like and why they might be helpful to you. So I'm going to show one called Can Plan. This is a great app for people with intellectual disabilities, people with memory loss, people who just need some help with organizing themselves, getting certain tasks done. We often have job coaches, talk about this app and using it to help to someone to learn a new job. So when that person goes away, the user can have this on their phone and have it to look back at if they forget a step, they have a bad day or they get upset about something and they just can't remember the steps of what their task is. They can use this, as a backup. So I'm going to show you this app. And while I show you, we're going to do like the anatomy of an app review. That's what we call it. That's the official name for it. That's what we've named it. So when you go to an app review, you're going to see here that it has these stars and it says BridgingApps rating. If these stars are filled in at all, that means that we have reviewed it. Someone on our team has reviewed it. And I'll talk to you about those reviews too. You also see the icon here that is going to be the same icon that you see on the App Store or on the Google Play Store. If an app has both, sometimes this will be the App Store logo or icon, and the Google Play one may look a little different. It just depends. But this is to help you recognize when you go to the App Store, this is the one I was reading about. So for the reviews, this is the real meat of what we do. So we review the apps through a lens of a disability. So just like we were talking when I was telling you that the parents started looking at these apps and kind of seeing them have different uses for maybe what the developer intended them to be. Maybe they were just meant for fun, but then parents who are, so savvy, they said, hey, wait a minute, I'm noticing it's helping him with this skill. That is exactly what we do with apps. We look at them, we review them for the purpose that the developer intended, but we also think outside of the box. So we review it through the lens of a disability. So when I look at this app, the first thing I'm thinking is, if I were still in a classroom, how could I use this? Then I start thinking, hey, I'm also caring for my 93-year-old grandmother. How could she use this? How could I help her by using this app? How could I help maybe some of her friends that have had memory loss? These kind of things. So we really think about the app in a lot of different ways. The reviews are always structured pretty similarly. Some of them are longer than others, but we always talk about the basics of the app, who it was developed by, what it was meant to do, and how it can help people. Just in general kind of elevator pitch about the app. And then we talk about who we trialed it with, maybe what kind of diagnoses they had or what their needs were, the activities. So in this one, they used this app to learn to sort and wash a load of clothes. We talk about how much it cost. Now, it's very interesting. I've really enjoyed showing this one lately because a few weeks ago, we noticed that this app is free to download. I have only used the free version. But with the free version, you can only store 3 tasks at a time. And I'll show you what that looks like in just a minute. So you can save 3 tasks at a time to reuse them. But if you want, you can purchase this unlimited task. And it has been for a long time, a one-time purchase of $14.99. For whatever reason, we are actually in the process of trying to contact the developer to find out. For right now, it is free for unlimited tasks. So if you download this for free, then you can go into the part that says purchase unlimited task, and it is $0. So it's been really fun to show this because it is one of our favorite apps. And even though $15 isn't much, it is a lot if you're on a fixed income, and that's a meal. Anyway, this one is free right now. So if you want to download it and try it out, there's no loss if you don't like it. And then we also put a little blurb about who else we think it might help. So not only the people we trialed it with, but what other populations may benefit from it. Now, I'm going to show you why this is helpful. This part is where the description tab is. This is exactly what the developer says about the app. This is word for word what it says in the Apple App Store. We are connected to the App Store, so everything here is updated automatically. The price is even updated, not in our review, obviously, because we wrote that part, but the price over here on the side that I'm going to show you in a minute, all that updates automatically through the Apple Store and also Google Play. We have a new feature where we can do this little features checklist, and we can go into the back end of the website and we have all of these options and we can check them off so that users have a quick, easy thing to look at. Short setup time is very important to a lot of caregivers of people with disabilities. You just don't want to spend 2 hours getting an app ready for the next day after you've been caring for someone with a lot of needs all day long. You're just tired. And so we hear a lot of that from caregivers. They want those ones that are easy to set up. They don't have to learn a new language basically to operate the app. And then of course, who the users might be and those kind of things. The media is going to be exactly what you see in the App Store. And again, this kind of gives you an idea. I'm going to go to this other screenshot. What the app does is it is an instant way to make a task analysis. So from a teacher's point of view, I was constantly making all of these picture symbols to explain each step of something that a student needed to do. And I also use them for their schedules. So I did a lot of laminating. I'm going to age myself here. If I was still in the classroom, I'd be 20 plus years in there already. So, I did a lot of cutting, laminated, gluing, all of that stuff, Velcro, ruined lots of scissors, all of that, to make these schedules and these task analysis. This does it for you instantly using the camera on your device and typing in a few words. So you can see how you can make a schedule here of all these different tasks. And then on the individual task, you put a picture there for each step, and then you type in what you want it to say down here. And then you see under where it says wash clothes, there's a speak button. When you click that speak button, it is going to read anything you've typed in here. So a lot of apps will make you record what you want it to say. This one just takes whatever you type and creates that recording for you. So when the user goes to do this task, each step will show whatever picture you want it to show, and it will say what you want it to say. You can do 2 steps, or you can do 20. I don't know that there's even a limit on the number of steps. So you can see how this could be really beneficial. The other picture here that shows how to use this as a schedule, you could put what time they're supposed to do it. Every time I show this, I always say, who makes coffee at 6 o'clock? I would be up all night. But they're doing this to show how you can create a schedule. You can have it where the person has to mark off that they've done it. Lots of different ways to do this. So we really like it. It does come with a few preloaded tasks. Actually, I think these are the 3 that come on it. But it is super, super easy to make your own task. And you can use Google Images. You can take pictures. I always tell people I love using the real pictures for the doing laundry task. If I were to use the pictures that are already in there, my son would be automatically confused because that doesn't look like our washing machine. We don't have a front loading washing machine. So, you know, of course, it's better to use those pictures that are right there in the home, whatever it looks like. The last tab is a user feedback tab. You can see that I am logged in here. I'm going to talk to you about creating an account. Once you're logged in and you have a free account, you can actually rate this with stars. You can see how they start to light up as I click on it. I'm not going to skew the ratings because, of course, I love this app, so I'm not going to rate it, but it will show what I rated it. So you cannot leave you can't type in, a comment about it right here, but you can leave these star ratings. To create an account, which is a big, big plus, I'm going to show you what it looks like. When you go to the main page here, there's a part that says why sign up or sign in. When you go to I already have an account, so I'm going to show you what it looks like. When you go to create an account, all you have to create is an email address and a password. We don't collect any information. We don't care who you're searching for, who you are, what kind of secrets you have. We don't collect any of that information. And if you do forget your password, there's an easy way to do forget password. Because I already have an account, I'm going to log back in so you all can see the benefits of having an account. So once you have an account, I'm going to go back to Can Plan so we can still use this as our example. Once you have an account, you can do lots of things with the apps. So I have these saved app list and saved searches. So if you are like I was and you're working with a particular population of people, maybe when you go in to search for an app, you search by the keyword and then you add a lot of filters. So you mark things like what age group, what device it can work with, all of these different things. That takes a lot of time. So if you are always going to be searching for those same kind of things, then you can actually save the search. The benefit to this is that when you go back to that search, it is going to show you not only the apps you saw before, but because it does them in order of newest to oldest, any apps that are here at the top may be new. So maybe the last time I was looking at this, Lexico was the top app. Well, then I know that InQ and MDA of Oz have been added since then. So it's just a way to help you to, to shortcut your time. Everything we do is to help caregivers and people who work with people with disabilities and people with disabilities themselves. So we're always looking for those things that can kind of make it easier for you. The saved app list is kind of the same idea, except that you can save lists that we've already created, and I'm going to show you some of those. You can create your own list. So my daughter has dyslexia and dysgraphia, which is a really fun combination. And so I often will make a new list like this one I just created for different dyslexia apps. She has several things that she uses that she likes, but I'm always kind of keeping my eyes open. So Speechify is one that I might try with her at some point, especially as she starts getting into college. So you can just create that list and then you have it there. I've heard several people in schools and in other organizations who all work with kind of the same population and want to help each other out, that they will create these lists and then they'll share them with each other. So you can share them however you want to. There are all these different options here that come up. If you're on your phone and you go to the website, you can just copy the link and text it to somebody. You have an Apple device, you could even just airdrop it to somebody that you might be talking to, and you don't even have to have their contact. So lots of different ways to share it. And those are just 2 ways. You can only do those 2 things if you have a free account. And again, I promise the only thing we're going to do is we're going to add you to our mailing list. We send 1 newsletter a week. And if you read it and scan it and you don't find it helpful, you're welcome to, unsubscribe to the mailing list. But our newsletter does give you a rundown of all the blogs that we shared the week before. So it might be something that you do find helpful at some point. We're going to go back home and I'm going to talk to you one more time. We're going to go back to Can Plan, so I can tell you the rest of the app review parts. Are there any questions so far, Connie? This is kind of a good place for me to stop if you have anybody that's.
None so far, Amy.
Okay. So we did all the tabs. We talked about the icon. This button here is, again, just another convenience. When you click on this button that says download, it shows you all of the platforms that it's available on. So this one, as much as we love it, is only an Apple Store app. So if you have an Android device, obviously you can't download this one. But if you click on this, it takes you directly to the Apple Store. So just another convenience. We don't track any of that information, if you downloaded it or not. This is where you can add it to your list. So if I'm already logged in and I want to click on this, it's going to show all these different lists that I have, and I can just click the add app. This one's a great one for dyslexia. So, not dyslexia, sorry, transition. And so I'm going to click add. And the next time I go to that list, Can Plan will be on that list. This is another way that you can share. This shares just the app rather than the app list like before, but it has all of the same functions, the different ways you can share it. And then here we have a lot of important information in this tiny little area. The price, which is $0. This one, again, has in-app purchases, but like I said, the in-app purchase is $0 right now. So if they keep it at $0, we will eventually just take off this in-app purchases. This one is created by University of Victoria. It has a link here to their website. You can read about other apps they create and why we think they're so awesome. And then the update date. This one was last updated the end of May 2022. Now, why is that important? Part of our job we take really seriously is to create smart consumers. That's the reason we have a review and we have the description for you to compare it. We want people to be smart about what they're spending their money on and what they're spending their time on. So if you are an iPhone user like me, you know that it feels like your phone has probably updated about 30 times in the last 2 months. Maybe it has. And so every time the phone, the Apple or Google or whoever created your phone, every time that they update that operating software, it can affect the way the apps work. So the developers have to continue to update also. This one was updated almost a year ago. That's a pretty good time. If it were maybe 2017 or something like that for the update date, I would really be worried. We always tell people, if you see something that hasn't been updated in 5 or 6 years, don't spend money on it. Like, it's okay, it's fine to download it for free, but it may not work correctly with your phone. Official app means that we've reviewed it. And then here we have the supported platform. So this forms. So this is an Apple app, and you can only use it on iPad and iPhone. So the other thing is we have the ability to add in podcasts. We are part of a podcast. We contribute to a podcast that Easter Seals of Indiana, the InData Project, does. And so you can hear our little blurbs on there. It's called An App Worth Mentioning on their tech podcast. And so we will add those a lot of times in here also, so you can listen to it. We also have the ability to add in videos and things like that. That is about it for the app review. If there are no questions, we'll go back to the beginning, show you just a little more about searching. So obviously we have the language translation here. Disclaimer, it is Google Translate. It is not perfect, but it's pretty good. We have a native Spanish speaker that works with us, and we get her to kind of test out random spots and everything, and it works pretty well. It gets the idea across, at least. So the keyword, we talked about that. These are all the different ways you can sort it. We always have here kind of a highlighted list based on whatever the awareness month is. So in April, we had a lot about autism. May is Better Speech and Hearing Month. So we have some of our favorite apps for that. All of the categories you can sort by. You can just look at different kinds of learning. We have independent living is what we really call, that's our way of saying they really, a lot of these are what we think of for transition age, when you're getting those young adults ready to kind of go out and get jobs and all of those things. So those kind of tools are going to be in here. Just lots of ways you can sort. Again, people search by all different things. We do tell people that if you are only an Android user, or if you're trying to find something for an Android user, I recommend that you always go in and click Android first. Right now, this is all apps that we have, but I narrowed it down by Android, and it will start filtering out those that are only available for Apple. So like Canned Plan that I showed you is no longer going to show up because it's filtered out for Android only. And I think that's really helpful, because if you really fall in love with an app and then you're like, great, I did all this reading about it and I was ready to get it, and then I just found out I can't have it. That's really frustrating. We work with a lot of clients who are on fixed incomes, and sometimes the Android is what they can afford. So we always make sure that we're, aware of that and filtering that out for them. And then also you can search by age. Now, we have this little guy who's on our home screen too. This is not sure where to start to view all of our list. So I want to show you, because searching for lists is a little bit different. I love this feature. I was just telling my director, we can never change this background, because I love that when you go to search for the list, it changes to red. And in my brain, I'm like, ooh, that looks different from what I was looking at before. So it helps me know that I'm in that different place. And it does say you're searching the list. If you're looking for an individual app, you can go back right here by clicking that. But I want to show you some lists that we have that I really like for the population, individuals with cognitive disabilities and delays and those kind of things, because we did this really cool project with the Colorado Department of Voc Rehab. And they actually wanted us to create some custom lists and then teach their employees how to use them, how to really apply those apps onto devices, and really, in the field, how would this work? So kind of like what I did with Canned Plan, we went through and gave them a lot of use case scenarios and really helped them with how to actually help someone with it, not just this basic, using the app search tool. So as part of that, they really wanted these lists to be public. And so we named them all with Colorado DVR in the beginning of the name. So if you go to this spot and search list, and just type in Colorado is all you have to remember, then you will get those lists and you can look at them, use them, save them however you want to. The lists do not have tons of apps in them. They all have at least 5 or 6, I believe. Maybe up to 10 is probably the one that has the most. But they are arranged again for those different areas of independent living, task analysis, how am I going to figure out what time I need to get myself up out of bed and start taking my shower if I have to be at work at 11 o'clock, all of those kind of things, breaking down what you need to do to get through your day and be where you need to be. Job productivity, Notability is a great note-taking kind of app. Transcribing, voice to text. A lot of you are probably familiar with Dragon Anywhere. Avaz AAC for those people who maybe have a hard time communicating when they get nervous or around people they don't know. So lots of different tools for that. We also have a list for job search preparation. This one has some resume formats on it that you just fill out. And we have mixed feelings. Every time I talk about this, our transition coaches are like, well, our job coaches are like, well, employers don't really like these canned resumes. They want a real resume. But you know, if you're helping someone who is 14 or 15 and doesn't know what a resume even is supposed to look like, and that has nothing to do with having a disability. I have a 17-year-old and a 13-year-old. Neither of them could just type out a resume. If I said, hey, I need your resume, they would wonder, what is that supposed to look like? What kind of information do they need? So these formats really give them an idea of, like, for example, it's a great thing that you have 3 cats at home, but you know, your future possible employer doesn't really need to know that right now. That's something they know as they get to know you. So it tells them what's important to include and maybe what's not. The other thing on this list that we really like is that there is this job interview prep simulator. It is 99 cents, one-time purchase. And it gives them scenarios and actually has an opportunity for the user to practice what a job interview might look like, which is great, right? Because even as many times as I've interviewed and as long as I've worked, if I were to go into an interview right now, I would get nervous, because you're nervous when you're talking about yourself and you're not sure what the person is going to say. So this is a great thing to kind of help with that and get them practicing that, what that looks like. Let's see, I'm going to go back to my other list. I think I might have hit the button too many times. It's going to be slow because I'm trying. Let's try again. Okay, so the productivity, sorry, I went back, I did go back too far. Job search preparation, organization and executive functioning. Again, you got to be able to keep that job, get your life together, you know, enough to get to work on time. Learning about time, that's a big important one. And then self-regulation and calming. This has probably been one of our most popular categories that people talk about for all different age groups. In fact, our veterans group, we do a lot with them because, you know, for those young adults that are just getting jobs, you know, we have someone who works with us who said, you know, I lost my first job because I didn't think the boss, I wanted to do it my way and not his way. And so we have to teach that, like, you did all this work to get this job. Now we need to work on keeping your emotions in check, how to respond appropriately, how to know how to calm yourself down and all those things. So there are lots of those good apps on here. And then what are you going to do with your money once you make it? So money management, this one, like, is just learning about basic money amounts and things like that. So, you know, just lots of things related to finances there, just basic stuff that everyone needs to know. Okay. I feel like I have been talking a long time and I would love to answer some questions. This is the basic kind of meat and bones of the site. Are there any questions, Connie? Or if none have come in, is there anything anybody wants to ask now?
We don't have any questions so far, but I was going to say the same thing, Amy. If anyone has questions that you'd like to ask now, we'll just take a short pause to give you an opportunity to type something out in the chat.
Well, I'm either doing a really great job or nobody's listening. I'm either
I know you're doing a great job.
I'm either explaining it perfectly or nobody's really tuned in today. Let's see. I want to show a couple more. Okay, so if anybody does type anything, please let me know. I'm just gonna kind of move on to a one of those calming apps I was talking about.
I'm just gonna pop in really quick, Amy. I'm sorry. Before I move on. Somebody is here's wondering if you can explain again how to find the Colorado DVR apps. This person is saying that when they search it, they're getting different apps showing.
Okay, so the first thing is to make sure, I'm going to actually open a new page here and start at the beginning. So the first thing is to make sure that you are searching the list. So you can go right here to this view all list, or you can go, the little guy is on the left on any pages after the home page. And then you should have this red box. And when you type in Colorado, that is what should come up. Is that helping? Maybe they will explain. Does that help any? I'm not sure what app she's seeing if that's not what's coming up. I think that if you search in the main search, actually, I don't think any apps come up because we haven't named any of them actually Colorado. So that always helps me. If I start searching this, then I'm like, oh, well, maybe that's what she's seeing. Some of these may be actually from developers in Colorado. That might be why these are coming up. But for the Colorado list, you have the easiest way for me is to make sure that you're on that part with the red search bar. See if she says, oh, got it. Yes. Oh,
Got
awesome. Awesome. Yeah. Like Dr. Panda. No, that's not helpful. Okay, great. So glad. Will easily admit I have done that more than once and been like, where's Colorado? Because I use that as an example a lot. Okay, so I wanted to show Plum Village because we were talking about calming, and I think this is a great one that is really helpful for a lot of groups. And I'll be honest with you, when I first read it, I was like, meditation. I don't know, isn't that really complicated? And I'm not sure I have the time for that. And I just don't know. It sounds kind of, like scary to me. But this app was actually developed by a nonprofit. It is completely free and it is packed with videos, different voice recordings, all kind of things to help people who really need. We all need it, but people who are really interested in learning how to meditate, how to be more mindful in all situations. One of my favorite things they have is that they have this part, I think it's just an audio on that one, that talks about mindful eating. And I am the worst about eating my lunch at my desk because I love what I do. And so I'm just like, hey, I'll just eat my salad while I'm working. That's really bad for us. I have kids in sports. We eat in the car sometimes. And so it's interesting because they really take you back to those things that are important. And I think a lot of us really started to become more aware of that during COVID and that trying to slow down and focus on what was really important to us. But Plum Village is a great one. It has, just to show you a little bit, and we have our review here, but just to show you a little bit of the images that are here. Another feature I really like of this is that there's a video recording. And it's all monks and nuns that are in these recordings, which I think is just so cool because their voices, like the minute they start talking, I feel like my blood pressure just drops some because their voices are so soothing. Their cadence, it's just really, really nice to listen to. So there's one of the nuns, I can't remember her name, sister, I can't remember, but she is doing this talk, a video talk about how they use the bell and the purpose of the bell. So in the monastery, the bell rings at certain times during the day, and they all stop and take this mindful minute. Well, the app actually has this feature where you can turn on the bell. You can see the little toggle there. It says enable bell if you can't see it, and you can schedule it for what time you want to take a mindful minute. If I were teaching, I would have this scheduled during my lunchtime, because I had a very stressful job with lots of different kinds of behaviors and all these things. This is something that would have been really helpful for me. So you can schedule when you want it to go off, how many times during the day, how long that mindfulness moment is. You can also decide I want it to go off every hour, when I'm working, maybe between 9 and 5, but after that, I don't want it to bother me during the night or in the evening when I'm with my family. So it's just really neat because there are a lot of teaching things that are part of this app. So we really have been recommending it a lot. We love it because it's free. We've talked with our veterans about it and they were all super excited. So again, it's just a really great thing. They have lessons that are geared towards children as well as adults. So it's kind of great for any level of understanding. You don't have to be this super enlightened genius to understand how to do these meditations and things. They also have meditations like in the form of stories. They have bedtime stories, those kind of things. And it does have some stories in 2 or 3 different languages, French, Spanish. I think there's something else, but anyway, they're always adding new stuff to it. So again, just another one that, kind of a random one that is helpful for you and probably also the people that you work with or care for. It's just one that I like to share and give you another example there. Wow, no more questions. Connie, do you have any questions or anything particular you want me to show?
No, not at all. I'm always interested to see what some of your favorite apps are. So if there's anything else that you're willing to show our group, I'm guessing that they're going to be super interested in that, Amy.
Of course, yeah. There's actually one that we really like that is we just discovered it. That's a good one for writing, for handwriting. And again, I think for all different ages. Let's see, it's Writing Wizard. This is one we've been sharing with a lot of different people. Again, I told you my daughter, she's about to be in 8th grade. Today's her last day of school, so it's the last day of being a 7th grader. She has a lot of trouble with her handwriting. It has gotten better, but it has been very painful for us. So I was always trying to find these kind of tools. This one, if you're going to try it out, this is what you want, the Writing Wizard handwriting. They also have a cursive one. It's really, really neat because, and again, I know this looks really childish, but I promise it is really great for lots of ages. The one thing I will say is that anytime you are practicing handwriting on a touch screen, it is a great idea to use a stylus, because it is not natural when you go to sign your name. You don't do it with the tip of your finger most of the time. Even if you're signing for your credit card, they have a stylus there. So it's not really natural for us to teach our children to sign with the tip of their finger, because that's not really how it works. So it's a great idea to get some kind of stylus with a little squishy end on it and have them practice holding it as you would hold a pen or a pencil. So this one, just to show you some fun little screenshots, as you trace the letters and words, it does all these different patterns and things. And then when it is done, when you're done with the word, the patterns do crazy things. Like sometimes the patterns jump around, the word will jump around or bounce. Sometimes there's like an explosion, like confetti, just all kind of different fun things to really keep you engaged in it. My coworker and I were working with some teachers and training them, and we found this app, and we're texting each other, oh my gosh, I've got to stop. I've been on this app for 30 minutes, because you can make your own list, your own name list. And so I made this list with all my family's names, and I was like playing around with it to see what all it would do. And before I knew it, 30 minutes was gone. And so it is a great engaging app. I believe it also has sound on it. I prefer to turn the sound off on these and listen to my own kind of music. The same thing with some puzzle apps I can show you that are also great for everyone. But anyway, this is just a really good one, because I know handwriting is one of those skills that it looks very childish, but it is something that is really great for anyone who needs that fine motor practice. Even maybe someone who's had a stroke or something like that and is relearning that, writing their names. You could always just make the name list and have them just practice those. So just kind of lots of neat things. I did see a question, do you have any recommendations for apps teaching social and conversation skills? Yes. Let me go back to, there's one. Now, okay, social success is a good one for social skills. I will, as a disclaimer, there's a light version, so I would download the free one first, but the full version is $60. And the reason for that, and it's a one-time purchase, it's not a subscription. The reason for that is that this is built by Attainment Apps. They do very, very good apps. They have great content loaded in them, but they're basically what I would like to call like plug and play. Like you download the app and you can hand it off to a user and they can immediately start using it and learning from it. So what they do, let me see what their media shots have. Yeah, what they do is when you first open the very first screen, it will have all these different scenarios. So one is like being with friends, one is texting, one is something about taking photos, and then there's the getting ready for school. It has maybe 5 or 6 different scenarios, and each one of those scenarios has these different options at the top. So the intro, the steps, the self-talk, the movie, and the problem solving. And what they've done is they've really taken the same lesson and kind of have all these different ways that they can teach it and practice it based on how that person learns. So the teachers that I was just talking about that we just finished a project with them, they actually work at a day hab that is for adults with IDD, that have aged out of school. And so they're constantly working on these kind of skills. The one about texting has things like, someone is texting you threatening messages. What do you do? The problem solving is not like a teaching. It's not like they're going to tell them if they got the right answer or not, but you can go back and pull the reports about what they answered. Each little task has 2 problem solving questions and they're multiple choice. And you can go back and pull those reports and say like, whoa, he said if somebody was sending him, threatening messages, he would throw his phone away. And so it's a teaching opportunity. It's for you to say, hey, let's talk about this. You said you would throw your phone away. How is that going to solve the problem? So again, this is offering lots of ways to teach. And it is, like I said, just plug and play. We have the full version on our iPad. Oh, here's the home screen that talks about that. So we have the full version on our iPad and it is really good. The category for this is at school. A subcategory is getting ready for school. So each one of them has like some subcategories in there. The using technology is the one that has texting and taking photos under it. So I would recommend doing the free one first, just to try it out and see if you like it. And then if you do, I really completely think that the $60 is worth it. One note about that is that if what we did for this particular project, and what I always recommend to people is that if you're working in a program where maybe you have a bunch of iPads and you're all sharing one Apple ID, you purchase this once, and this is an app that is device specific. So if I have it downloaded on my iPad and my coworker also has it downloaded, even though we're on the same Apple ID, I can have different users on mine and she can have different users on hers. So I can set up whoever I'm working with and she can too. And it doesn't share that information. So it's really great for situations like this classroom or this day hab where they can use it for lots of different people and they only paid $60 for it that one time. So just kind of a little tip there. But that's a really good one, I think, for social skills, just for practicing those social skills. There is also another one. I can't remember the name of it. Let me see if it will come up. I haven't checked it. Oh, Circles is kind of it is actually like a curriculum. Some of you may have used it before. It's a good one for social skills. It's been around for a long time. It is $40 to download. Everyday Skills is another one. So that other one, the first one was by Attainment Company. Everyday Skills is by AbleLink, and the 2 of them make really great apps. So Everyday Skills is very similar. It has things like you're a dog groomer and it shows you all these different steps. So it's sort of like those task analysis with very general examples. There's one about riding the bus, getting ready for work or whatever. I can't remember the exact ones that they have, but again, oh, here's a little flip of it. So it's got all these different scenarios that are very generic, things that people might do no matter where you live, or especially if you live in a big city. There are some good ones about the bus and stuff. And again, it's like plug and play. You download it, you spend that $30 and it's ready to go. And it is loaded with a lot of information and videos. So those definitely are 2 I would try. And then the Circles is also a good one.
Now, Amy, are any of those apps good for like small group settings versus one-on-one?
I would totally use those in small group because, especially if you're working with people that are all kind of that similar population, a lot of these skills are things that everybody could really brush up on. The social skills, I feel like we never quit learning those. I have some adults that I work with that might need some of those social skills lessons sometimes, and so, yeah, I feel like those are definitely good for kind of small group. And that's what they're going to do. And like I said, in this day hab where we're working, they're going to group their adults in very small groups, based on what they need, and have them work on them together and kind of quiz each other and things like that.
Great. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to just pause for any other questions that people may have. I know we're running short on time and we want to be really respectful of your time and all of our attendees. Any other questions for Amy, though, before we wrap up? Or Amy, is there anything else that you're just dying to show our attendees today?
The only other thing I would say is, for sure, I would love it if you check out our other our social media and things like that. Please follow us. We post a lot on social media. That's kind of loud. Just about you know, our like I said, our YouTube channel. If you just go to playlist, you can see all these different really helpful playlists we've made. When I mentioned that about scanning, that is part of this Did You Know playlist. And this one is really interesting because it's 21 videos total. There's an intro video, and then there are 20 videos that focus on 10 different skills. So there are 2 for each skill. So there's an Android one and an Apple one. So there's one about scanning a QR code, and you can watch the video on how to do it on your iPhone or how to do it on your Android phone. There's one about text size, enlarging text size, just all of these basic, they're all built-in functions of your device. None of them are about downloading any separate apps. Scanning documents is one of our biggest questions we get. Again, that transition age, adults with disabilities, you know, they might not own a scanner, but we teach them how to use their phone to scan, save something as a PDF, email it, even a way to sign it electronically without paying any money. So those kind of videos are in this. So I would definitely, you know, recommend just kind of exploring all of these other resources.
Wow, there certainly are a ton of resources out there. Now, I don't see any other questions from our attendees, but I do want to say once again, Amy, you've wowed me. As usual, you always share such great information. And I'd like just to take an opportunity on behalf of our attendees to thank you for sharing all of these tools and resources from Bridging Apps. I definitely have the feeling that the website's going to see some new visitors today, and hopefully some folks on your social media too.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess as we wrap up, I would just, SHIFT would like to thank our attendees for coming today. And we'd also ask that you complete the short survey that you'll be receiving as the session ends. We promise it's not going to take a bunch of time. It's just 4 really short questions. So with that, I guess we'll go ahead and sign off. Thanks once again, everyone, for being part of this opportunity, and we look forward to seeing you next time.
Okay, and I did put my address there in the chat, Connie, so people can email me directly. Thanks again for having me.
Thanks, Amy.
Bye.